can't reuse those biggies up there? Some of them. A lot of it's just landstone on top of it.
Question came up about the amount of stone that we're actually going to need. We had 680 tons in the bid price. We had assumed two things. One is that the head of the pier was on bedrock, and we had also assumed that there was a kind of a secondary wall that came back across the face of the pier. And when they started taking the whole thing apart, they found out, one, we're not on bedrock, and two, there isn't another wall in there. So what they're kind of doing a redesign of the interior part of the pier head. We're probably not going to build as an extensive an interior wall as we had anticipated. And then they'll just have to test and see how far down we go to get to bedrock. And it may be that if we can't get to bedrock, but the base is stable enough, they can just build up from that. So we won't know that for another week or so until they actually have removed the rest of the head of the pier. But what we certainly know is that we're going to need more stone than the 680 that was in the base of the contract. That's not only because we have to do more extensive building than we thought, but also because the stones that are coming out are just much too small. They had expected to only need to use 10% new stone, but it's going to be much more than that. Those are the largest stones that come out of the pier right now that are kind of on the top of that rubble pile, but they're not as big as they should be, and most of them aren't shaped right. So while we'll reuse a lot of them, it looks now like we might need an additional 200 tons of stone, as opposed to the 100 to 150 that we had anticipated.
Any kind of swell, they can't do any work. And then yesterday was a beautiful day. But they had to cut early because the tide was wrong.
Two holes were drilled through each block and halfway into the block below to make room for fiberglass rods. These rods ensure that the stones cannot slide under adverse conditions, and therefore they add to the longevity of the pier. The persistent patterns of gales in March, coupled with the delay associated with needing additional stone, meant that the pier would not be ready in time for the conference season. We met with Proc Marine, with the engineers, and with the captain of the Thomas Layton to begin the process of making contingency plans for operating the island without a usable pier. So that would mean that you'd finish pouring on the 13th?
13th, 14th. Yep.
14th. So the 15th is the first day?
Yep.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That means the 24th is the earliest we'll start using that. So that problem is going to be this natural history conference, which is about natural history, and then there's another conference altogether. I think that's 240 people. They're getting out here at 4 o'clock, and that's just about dead low tide. So the question is, how do we do that?
If we did pour the 12th and 13th,
Yeah.
why couldn't we have your ramp and everything in place by the 21st? I mean, that concrete's going to be
Good enough for foot traffic, is it?
move it float.
Well,
Don't feel any pressure about this, right?
None whatsoever.
so the
We're
boat.
not going to wreck the concrete.
Right.
All the bars are tied with bag ties. Use these little things called yo-yos to wind them up. Just keeps everything floating around because you gotta walk on it to, handle work the cement. And we lay this filter fabric down right here. We stretch that down over the top of the existing rock and then backfill it with this. That fabric helps keep this stuff from falling down into the bigger voids and cracks, so you don't lose all the fill out from underneath your pour. This whole mat's designed so that even if this fill settles eventually, the concrete slab's rigid enough to support anything you're going to run across it. Yeah, this is a chamfer strip. We use this to maintain our concrete elevation next to the form. And it gives a beveled corner on that concrete rather than a square one, so it doesn't tend to chip or break off. If you had a square corner, that corner breaks, it tends to break back further into the concrete, just makes for an ugly finish. Then we put these chairs, these are called chairs. We put these under this so that you try to maintain 3 inches of cement underneath the bar. This makes it more structurally sound, the concrete underneath the bar as well as on top. So the closest bar to the outside of any concrete surface is 3 inches. 3 inches on the ends, 3 inches on the top. You want to maintain 3 inches of concrete underneath it. Sweet, nice.
Want some of the shorter one? I decided
We're on the Thomas Layton, which is about to dock the big barge with the crane on it, which will then get off onto the floating dock that you see over there, onto the privateer, which will take us to the dock that's attached to the pier.
Those stones are massive.
This is just great.
I got justice.
Thanks, great. Close to her. Yes, I see.
I think it's wonderful
It's exciting.
entertainment.
It's
Before
great
we've
fun.
even landed, we're being entertained royally by all this.
I think it's very romantic.
Yes.
This slow approach to the island, you know? think it's because we're Episcopalians and we've jinxed the whole trip.
Hey, what color tags we got? Yeah, call the color tags. Thank you. Color colors.
It's called a power screed. It rides on this pipe rail. There's a pipe on either side that keeps it set to grade. And if you look, there's a slight camber in the power screed. So the deck's got a camber in the center so the water will run off either side and always shed the water. We'll run soaker hoses up and down, wet it twice a day. The wetter you keep that cement, moisture-wise, while it's curing, the harder it'll cure. If it cures too quick, it shrinks and dries and cracks. So if you keep it wet, cool, make it slow cure, your concrete strength will almost double. We gotta keep this wet for a week. If we get a good heavy steady rain, we can't pour cement because you ruin the finish. We're gonna call it. If it's gonna rain, we're gonna have a problem, we're gonna cancel it.
West from Star Island over to Rye Harbor on the mainland. Pick up 3 big old cement trucks. Got no winds, calm day, a little bit of swell coming in from the storm yesterday. And that must be the harbor there. Hello, Leo. This is Abe Baggins. I'm the captain on the island transporter. We just left Star Island and we're headed over to Rye Harbor right now. We should be there in about 25 minutes.
East Coast that I've gone out in the ocean. Yeah, on the West Coast I did it all the time. But I've never done it out here on the East Coast.
I've never been to Arizona.
I think I see how they're going to do it. I think I see how they're going to do it.
You're on the bow today.
I guess I didn't think it was a really good idea at the time. I mentioned it to my sister, and she thought it'd be a heck of an idea to come out here.
Feel how warm that is. It's 74 degrees. We were 66 at the time. amazing, though, how dainty and delicate the crane operator is. Oh, and there he went. Yep, there it goes.
Splooge.
It seems like such a lot of effort for such a tiny little dollop.
It's just amazing how this whole business is organized, and I feel like I've gone on every mode of transportation so far.
Well, another one of the firsts that we've had here is that we did the fire and water speech on the boat on the way out, and that way we were able to save the conference the time of doing the fire and water speech out here, and they can get their activities started almost without too much interruptions. So that we did that in the harbor on the way down the river before we got out into the leftover seas when we lost everybody's attention because we were rolling so hard. But we had a good trip out. Everything went fine. We got the line out there. Actually, that line was attached to the float that we pulled in place with the privateer. So when the privateer pulled our float out alongside the ferry, it was also towing that water line. And now that the water line is attached and they're pumping, we keep 2 rowboats in the water to keep any boats from crossing that line. Getting equipment to and from the island can be a costly affair. We took advantage of having heavy lifting equipment on the barge to remove 4 old generators and a truck. Had it been necessary to schedule the removal and the delivery of the generators and trucks independent of this operation, it would have cost us between $3,000 and $4,000.
You look good in there, Sean.
Thank you. This is fucking...
That's it?
Thanks for everything, man.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you again sometime.
No, that's